Well, let's bring in a guest and go live to lawyer Marni Halasa, a candidate for New York City Council. Welcome to the programme, Marni. It's great to see you. Do you think the growing numbers of famous names ignoring anti-COVID restrictions set a worrying example to the public?
Yes. Well, listen, I mean, everybody has to wear a mask. And I think, if you are in that position where people look up to you, you have access to airwaves, the media, maybe some people see you as a role model. You actually, should have good behavior. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. You have to socially distance. You have to wear a mask. I think it's incumbent on people in those kinds of positions, to practice safe behavior and show the public that you're practicing safe behavior.
But what can governments actually do to stop people like social media influencers from flouting the rules?
Right. So, I don't think governments should actually get into the business of censorship, and there's always a debate on what that looks like. What's interesting is the British government is actually working with social media influencers to try to stop the spread. They've paid several influencers, apparently they're reality TV stars, to promote the contact tracing and wear a mask. And I guess that seems to be working. I think they paid something like £10,000 to Love Island stars, Shauna Phillips, Josh, Denzel, and Chris Hughes. And yes, that was taxpayer money, which that's debatable whether they should be using that. But the campaign worked, and people wore masks. So actually, that's a good thing. Effective campaigns.
Which groups do you think are impacted most by such behaviour?
I would say younger people, I think, are very influenced. They're the ones on social media. They're always, looking at, all the platforms. So I would say, since the young people are influenced, I think people do bear responsibilities, celebrities, and social media influencers. So.
Do you think that these people, the elite, should be putting their hands in their pockets to help fight the coronavirus crisis?
I do. I've always said that, actually. Part of my campaign for city council in New York is that the financial elites should be taking on those kinds of burdens. I've been advocating that the banking industry and large corporations and Wall Street should actually dip into their coffers to help New York City. We're actually in a $10 billion shortfall. And there's many things the financial sector can do. One thing is to refund the stock transfer tax, which would actually give New York $13 billion. But also, a lot of people are talking about this, almost like a corporate wealth tax, that cities could assess a small 1% tax on large corporations with over 1,000 employees. That would really help, but even better, corporations like Amazon or Google or Facebook, if they can even voluntarily put a tax on themselves to help the cities where they have headquarters, create a fund and use that fund to help people, help cities with PPE. One thing is to how about free Wi-Fi for all the school kids in New York City? There's many things that the wealthy can do.
And of course, studies are now showing that the pandemic is deepening inequality. How concerning is that?
Well, it's actually very disturbing. And Ashley, thank you so much for bringing this up, because I feel like the American mainstream media, they completely ignore this. But to put this into context, in 2018, the world's 26 richest men had as much wealth as the poorest half of the world's population, which is some 3.8 billion people. Nearly 3 billion people, one half of the world's population, live on less than $2.50 a day. And more than 1.3 billion live in extreme poverty, which is less than $1.25 a day. And of course, you've heard this before, in the United States, the wealthiest 3 billionaires, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett, have as much wealth as the bottom half of the U.S. population combined. So, really, this is a tale of two cities, but it's not just in New York City, it's everywhere. The rich are immune from many of the disproportionate effects of the pandemic. They have second homes in the country. They have better connections to get government bailouts. They didn't lose their jobs during the pandemic since professionals can work from home. Where the majority of the harm was for people with lower incomes. They were crowded into dense housing, dense working conditions, and they lost their jobs. So now millions of people are unemployed in the worst unemployment crisis since World War II. But actually, what I would really like, I would like to see Joe Biden come up with a multi-pronged recovery package, more of an FDR type federal jobs program with a stimulus or universal basic income, universal health care, free college tuition. It's up to the new administration to really do something of economic substance for Americans.
Marni Halasa, candidate for New York City Council, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here on RT International. We're back in 30 minutes.